We teach girls to shrink themselves, to make themselves smaller. We say to girls, you can have ambition, but not too much. You should aim to be successful, but not too successful, otherwise you will threaten the man. Because I am female, I am expected to aspire to marriage.
If you pay me,
I'm expected to make my life choices, always keeping in mind that marriage is the most important. Now, marriage can be a source of joy and love and mutual support. But why do we teach girls to aspire to marriage and we don't teach boys the same? We raise girls to see each other as competitors, not for jobs or for accomplishment, but for the attention of men.
crazy.
We teach girls that they cannot be sexual beings in the way that boys are.
My persuasion can build a nation. Endless power, our love we can devour.
Feminist. A person who believes in the social, political, and economic equality of the sexes.
With modern feminist icons such as Beyoncé, Ellen Page, Angelina Jolie, Oprah Winfrey, and Malala Yousafzai, feminism plays an important role in everyday life and discussion. Topics of the wage gap, social inequality, violence, and birth control are just some of the issues taking modern feminism by storm. And because of this role, it is important to take a look at where feminism all began. The suffrage movement was born on July 19, 1848, in Seneca Falls, New York. The meeting was spearheaded by Lucretia Mott, an abolitionist, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, the leading advocate, and Frederick Douglass, a former slave. The suffragettes drafted and signed the Declaration of Sentiments, which demanded equal social status and legal rights for women, primarily focused on the right to vote. Drawing a powerful similarity to the Declaration of Independence, Stanton connected the campaign to the symbol of American liberty. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The movement almost immediately encountered a negative reaction. An anti-suffrage association was even founded in 1897. The suffragettes in New York often extended invitations to exchange ideas with their adversaries, but the anti-suffragists were set in their ways. Then, a major milestone was crossed when the 15th Amendment was passed in 1870, giving black men the right to vote. However, feminists expected women to be included in this amendment. A rift soon developed. Some suffragists, led by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony, felt betrayed by the abolitionists and split off to form their own suffrage movement, focused solely on women's right to vote. The women's suffrage movement remained relatively inactive until Carrie Chapman Catt initiated radical political campaigns. Alice Paul and Lucy Burns led pickets and faced repeated arrests and beatings. Their suffering in the public eye helped develop a sense of compassion and vulnerability of women in society. In fact, President Woodrow Wilson grew used to the sight of suffragists picketing outside of the White House, until eventually the treatment of those women became unjust and many faced violent repercussions. Wilson finally made a suffrage amendment in January of 1918. 2 years later, Congress passed the 19th Amendment, officially giving white women the right to vote. This landmark was celebrated shortly when the Great Depression and soon after World War II took place. However, women soon found a place of work. This event explored completely new territory as women gave their time, energy, and even their lives. Women on the home front worked in defense plants and volunteered for war-related organizations. Rosie the Riveter became a lasting cultural icon, helping assure that the U.S. would have enough materials and simultaneously provided a strong female image. Nearly 350,000 American women served in uniform, both at home and abroad, volunteering for the newly formed Women's Army Corps, the Women Air Force Service Pilots, and the Army Nurses Corps. General Eisenhower felt that he could not win the war without the aid of women in uniform. He said, "The contribution of the women of America, whether on the farm or in the factory to D-Day, was an essential action of the invasion effort."
The women of America are making their choice for president, Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Women in uniform took office and clerical jobs in the armed forces to replace the men that fought in the military. They also drove trucks, repaired airplanes, worked as laboratory technicians, served as radio operators, and much more. Some women served near the front lines in the Army Nurse Corps. More than 1,600 nurses were decorated for bravery under fire. At the war's end, even though a majority of women surveyed wanted to keep their jobs, many encountered opposition and were forced out by men returning home and by the decrease in demand for war materials. The nation that needed their help in a time of crisis, it seems, was not yet ready for the greater social equality that would slowly come in the decades to follow. As a reaction to this post-war boom in reinforcing gender roles, the 1960s gave birth to a new wave of feminism. This second era of feminism looked mainly at free expression and equal rights in the workplace, in the family, and in society. One major breakthrough in the rights movement was the proposition of the Equal Rights Amendment. This amendment, written by Alice Paul and Crystal Eastman, stated that equality of rights should not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of sex. It passed in both Senate and Congress, but when it came time for the states to ratify it, issues sprang up. While many states were originally supportive of the amendment, efforts of the anti-ERA groups caused it to fall flat when it came time to ratify. Even though it was never passed, it left a huge impact on feminist ideals. Another major issue in second-wave feminism was abortion. In the 1960s, many states allowed it only if the mother's life was in danger. Traditionalists encountered resistance when feminists started advocating for the complete legalization of abortion, and out of this came the infamous Supreme Court case, Roe v. Wade. Jane Roe, a single pregnant woman from Texas, was outraged to find out about the restrictive laws regarding abortion. She and her attorneys, Sarah Weddington and Linda Coffey, filed a suit against attorney Henry Wade, asking for the repeal of the abortion law. The Texas court ruled that the law was unconstitutional but did not take action. Roe took the case to the Supreme Court, and it was ruled again that it was unconstitutional, and the abortion laws were repealed. Another right that was fiercely battled for was workplace equality. The main issue with the workplace was wage inequality. To help combat this, Betty Friedan, a leading feminist, and many others joined the National Organization for Women. This organization led the exploration in the advancement of women's rights in the workplace, helping pass major bills such as the Equal Pay Act. They also helped pass bills that benefited women outside of the workplace, such as the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This act outlawed discrimination based on race, religion, sex, and national origin. The women's suffrage movement spawned several generations of activists who continue to make strides and explore new areas in gender equality. Though often facing opposing and sometimes violent encounters, feminists continue to fight for a just cause, in ensuring that women are given the same opportunities and rights as men. The previous exchanges of radical ideas have paved the way for future women to build upon the already existing feminist movements. The persistence of these powerful icons prove that these women are here for good, will not give up, and will be heard.
Men have been given the chance to rule the world. But ladies, our revolution has begun. Let's build a nation. Women everywhere. Run the world.